Hello world, I'm Happy Hacker and welcome to The Port, my review series where instead of reviewing the gameplay, I'll be reviewing the technical side of PC games. After 12 years, Halo has finally come back to the PC, and it could not have come at a worse time since it is about the time for many students in the United States, myself included, to be taking finals. However, I still have been finding more than enough time to enjoy what used to be my favorite multiplayer game of all time. Now, if you look at these hardware requirements for Reach, you may scratch your head and wonder why a video like this is necessary. A GTX 770 to run 4K? That's a 6-year-old graphics card. However, there's more to a port than frame rates and resolution, and since 343 has stated that they wanted to make a game worthy of the PC, I'd like to take a look and determine if they've accomplished just that. Here in the settings menu, we can adjust the controls, video, audio, gameplay, network, and accessibility. I'll be going across the list talking about each and any problems related to them. Something to note is that I assume all these settings apply to all the Halo games, and they can't be adjusted per game. I'm not sure how this will work out long term because I imagine Halo 4 is more graphically demanding than Halo Combat Evolved, but all I can do for now is speculate. The first set of menu is the controls for keyboard, mouse, or controller. Taking a look at the keybind settings, the first problem immediately pops up. Like I said in my Destiny 2 review, each action having 2 bind slots is the bare minimum for PC games, and in Halo there's only 1 slot per action. So if you want to bind your melee key to your mouse but also have it on your keyboard, you're going to have to pick one or the other. Also, as of time of this recording, you can't rebind the push-to-talk nor the chat button. I'm not sure whose idea it was to put J as the text box button since 99% of PC games have it bound to T, Y, or U. It's very out of the way, and it's the only button on the right side of the keyboard. Other than the keybind menu, you can adjust hold toggle behaviors for crouch and zoom, inversion controls, and there's a healthy amount of options for mouse sensitivity. Personally, I don't use a gamepad in FPS games, and I haven't played a console game in actual years, but if this is what gamepad options nowadays look like, then we've surely come a long way. You can adjust the button layout, thumbstick layout, have the jump button, activate jetpack instead of the equipment button. There's this weird setting of aim control, it could be modern or classic. The only description of this is that modern will feel consistent with other modern shooters. I wish instead of this one sentence there is an actual description of what this option did, but this trend of vague descriptions does not end here. The first setting here is FOV. Now normally I crank the FOV all the way to the max because in a competitive setting there's no reason not to have more awareness if you have the frames to push it. However, it does give you more field of view, but it feels off. Here behind the menu you can see the camera pull back instead of your peripheral vision widening. It's a very weird feeling. Also, the view model of the character doesn't adjust to the FOV. It stays the same no matter if you're at 70 or 120. So your gun will be covering up a solid 20% of your screen if you decide to use the centered crosshair. I've had dozens of deaths because an enemy was in this blind spot. We could also adjust the vehicle FOV up to 120. We also have gamma settings, but we don't have a separate brightness setting. The two do different things. A lot of people don't know that. But I'll come back to having individual options when I talk about the graphics options. Next, we can adjust our window between full screen, borderless, and windowed. I was really happy to see borderless and even more surprised that you could set the resolution scale for the borderless option. Unfortunately, the scale only goes up to 100, so you won't be super sampling 4K unless you're in full screen. There's also a VSync option, which should never be turned on in a competitive first-person shooter. HUD anchoring, which will put the HUD in either the center of the screen or the edges if you have an ultra-wide monitor. Sliders would have been more appropriate here, but I was surprised to see the option existing. Now here we are at frame rate limit, where there are 2 options, unlimited or 60 FPS. There have been a good number of reports of the game acting unnatural once you're past the 60 FPS mark. There's a link to a write-up posted on the Halo subreddit in the description, but the too long didn't read is that once past the 60 FPS mark, the game will render duplicate frames. Also, no matter how high the frame rate, all animations are locked to 60 frames a second. The last option on this menu is the graphics settings, and you get 3 choices: enhanced, classic, and performance. 1440p enhanced looks fantastic, and like I said earlier, only needing a 770 to run 4K is impressive. However, I feel there should always be individual graphics settings. I'm glad VSync made it out, even though it should always be off, but things like anti-aliasing and disabling motion blur are dearly missed. Next is audio settings. The only options here are volume sliders and voice chat channels. There are no options for stereo, surround, home theater, or anything like a game, say, Call of Duty has. The next tab, gameplay, is also minimal with only 2 options. There's a crosshair position if you want centered or classic. Personally, I play on centered because classic makes me feel like I have to stare at the sky. Then there's the option to adjust visibility for invite notifications in-game. This is not for Steam invites, but Microsoft account invites. For network, following the trend of the other menus, there are only 2 options. You could change between Xbox Live matches or LAN matches, and a relay option which will mask your IP from unknown sources. However, at the time of this recording, turning relays on will cause matchmaking to take exponentially more time than normal. Finally, here we have the accessibility tab. Here you could turn subtitles on or off, but the subtitles only apply for cutscenes in the campaign. There are no subtitles during gameplay, in multiplayer, or in firefight. I'm not sure if this is a bug or a feature, but I have seen people complaining about this on the Halo subreddit, so I have to assume 343 is at least aware of it, and I really hope that there's a future patch that allows subtitles to be in the actual game rather than just the cutscenes. Here you could also change the language, and it's nice that the voice and text options are separate, and there's even a backup option so that if your language is not supported in one of the Halo games, there's a fallback language so that it will use that instead, which is really cool. I've honestly never seen that before, so props to 343. And lastly, there are options to convert text-to-speech and speech-to-text, a recent trend in multiplayer games that I'm happy is getting mainstream support. Now, with only Reach Out, I can't give a proper demonstration of this, but once the future Halo games drop, you'll be able to queue for any combination of Halo games and go from lobby to lobby. I'm not sure if this was the case on consoles, since I've never played the Master Chief Collection on consoles, but I was really hyped to see this for PC. Unfortunately, as of recording, there is no voting or veto system, so you won't get much of a choice which game, mode, or map you'll be playing. I could kind of understand this decision since you can queue for different game modes, maps, and different entire Halo games. So having a voting system that has to accommodate every possible combination of those 3 things would get hectic. I especially see this being an issue if people leave if they don't get the game, mode, and map they specifically want, which is going to be a huge problem since there's no backfill in Halo games. Which, while I'm talking about backfill, this is something that should be fixed. I've heard people say that if this issue is fixed, then it just wouldn't be Halo. But that's like saying if I put more effort in my videos, it just wouldn't be Happy Hacker. It's a stupid game design choice that should be fixed immediately. Those of you that sat through my Destiny 2 review know that I love talking about the UI. So let's dive right into it. Just like how I acknowledged that Destiny is made for consoles then ported to the PC, and that's why I assume the UI is such a mess, I must acknowledge that the Master Chief Collection is trying to make one UI interface for 6 different Halo games. Until the other Halo games come out, I can only judge this UI for Reach specifically, so I will be comparing it to the 360 version. The biggest complaint I have heard is the new progression system. Instead of playing games to get credits and buying whatever you want, whenever you level up, you get a token, and you must unlock tiers of a linear season pass. Now, this does seem like a downgrade from the credit system before, where you could buy whatever piece of armor you wanted when you saved up enough. However, a lot of people are looking at Reach's old credit system through some very big nostalgia goggles. After just under 100 hours of playtime, I'm just over 75% of unlocking everything. In the old system, it would take weeks to unlock one high-tier helmet. What used to take months now takes days, and I think that's a worthwhile upgrade. You may also spot the Season 1 up there on the top left. Now, this isn't a season pass. All future seasons will be free. From what I've gathered, a new season will drop with each new Halo game ported to PC. 343 said they wanted to add content back into Reach, and there's speculation that the season armor you unlock will be based off the game that releases. So Season 2, when Combat Evolved drops, it will be armor you can unlock for your Spartan that's based off of the armor from Halo 1. Again, speculation. We'll know for sure around February when Combat Evolved should be coming out. Also, once new seasons drop, you'll still be able to progress through the old seasons. So if Season 3 comes out and you pick up Reach 1 and 2, You can level up all 3 seasons and unlock all those armor pieces. The armor customization is just like you remember in Reach. From the way this is all set up, it seems you'll be able to mix and match armor from different Halo games, and you'll have the same custom Spartan running across all Halo multiplayer games. Again, this is just speculation, and I've heard voices on both sides saying they love it or hate it. We'll have to wait and see if this is the case. However, as far as Reach goes, every piece of armor that was in the original is now in the Master Chief Collection. The last bit of UI I'd like to discuss is once you are in a lobby. When hovering over players, you can't see their custom Spartan or Elite like you can in Classic Reach, which I really miss. It really added to the charm and the personalization of everyone's Spartan. Also, when you click on people's names, there's no button to view their Steam profile, which makes sending friend requests to players you want to queue up with a bit of a problem. The options are even less once you're in the game. When clicking on a player's name, all you get is a mute button. There's no vote kick, report, view stats, profile link, there's nothing. So if one of your teammates is AFK spinning in a corner, there's nothing you could do about it, and the rest of your game is probably ruined because of it. A few last minute things I'd like to address, but I couldn't make it into their own sections. There's a lack of a campaign matchmaking, there's no custom game server browser, and there's no theater mode. Forge mode is also missing, but people got it to load up in the non-anti-cheat version of the game, and 343 has said it's coming soon. However, honestly, I'm not too eager to play on more Forge World maps. It's already 80% of the matches I play in matchmaking. There's a lot missing here, and I feel it's very far off from a port worthy of PC players. But it's a start. I can't imagine how difficult it is to port a game that has to manage 5 different engines that was never even made to be on the PC, with the exception of Halo 1 and 2. I do applaud 343 for their efforts so far. The game is fun. The game's really fun. It's Halo. It's Halo Reach, one of the most loved Halo games. And props to Microsoft for not ripping everyone off and pricing them all for $40 each, because they knew if they did that, the PC players would still buy it. They're $10 each. It's such a good deal. Huge props to Microsoft. I'm really glad they're opening up to the PC community. I consider Halo Reach to be in early access. It's missing big chunks of the game, like Forge mode, file browser, and all the other things I've already listed. However, I do recommend picking up Reach now. The game already came out years ago, so you know what you're getting. 343 does seem to be genuine that they want this to be the best port it could be, and since Halo is their only project, I believe they're going to stay true to their word. And that wraps up my thoughts on Halo Reach. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. If you're interested in the next project I'm working on, then follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be posting project updates there, recommendations, and I'll be asking for feedback on future projects that you can participate in. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.